Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're in hour 2. We're broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. It's so good to have you with us today here on the second hour of the show. We have a story from North Carolina where about a week ago, a number of folks, about 100, 150, were protesting a homeowners association. We're going to find out what that's all about, what took place there, when we have the mayor of that city joining us in just a minute or two. Also, a little bit later, too, we are following a story from Clearwater, Florida, where there was I think an insurance claim. Was it a fire, I think?
Yeah, a fire.
Yeah, that took place, destroying some units. And
Yeah.
there's some people that just feel like they're not getting things taken care of quickly enough. And we're going to talk about what happens with a disaster when that strikes, and what to expect if you're a renter, if you're a homeowner, an owner of a property, when you have an insurance claim. So we've got that and so much more. And without further ado, folks, let's welcome to Where You Live the mayor of Carborough, North Carolina, Mayor Mark Chilton. Hello, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Gene.
Sure.
Terry.
Welcome.
Thanks for taking some time out of your day here. Now, we want to talk to you about what took place. There is a homeowners association or a condominium association called the Abbey Courts Condominiums in your city. And last Saturday, could you tell our listeners what took place? There was a march or a protest?
Yeah, it was a march and protest. Was largely organized by Occupy Chapel Hill, our Occupy Chapel Hill Carborough, our sort of local version of Occupy Wall Street, and they were protesting against the decision that the Abbey Court Homeowners Association made to enforce one of the homeowners association's rules prohibiting the use of the condominiums at Abbey Court for anything other than residential purposes. There was a nonprofit organization called the Human Rights Center, or HRC, that had been providing after-school tutoring and mentoring and some other sort of human services out of one of the condominiums in the development to residents or the children of tenants in the condominium.
Okay. So they're definitely doing some really good things and outreach in the community.
They definitely were. This is not some kind of Tony condominium. It's probably the lowest income neighborhood in town, almost exclusively populated by Hispanic immigrant families, or either recent immigrants or that sort of population. And so there are a lot of poor and disadvantaged kids who live in this neighborhood and who need some help need a lot of help in some cases with their schoolwork. So the group was doing a really good thing and had been doing really good work for about 2 years.
And the residents obviously were really counting on this and really were taking advantage of it. It was a great service.
Definitely, it is a very positive influence, and there are a lot of parents, or families where both heads of household are, working in the afternoon, and were counting on this organization to, look after their kids after school and help them get some of their homework done. A lot of these people work 50, 60, 70 hours a week.
Let me ask you another question, if I can, Mayor. Now, there was this protest, and if I read the story correctly, it sounded like perhaps you received a little bit of backlash from people initially when you were just I guess, telling people on a Facebook page beforehand that we want to expect everybody to be peaceful and remain nonviolent and treat everybody with dignity through the process of this protest, correct?
Yeah, I was really trying to make the point that I think a lot of the police officers in Carborough really probably agree with the protesters, but at the same time, Abbey Court condominium itself is private property, and I was saying, well, if the homeowners association or the management company calls to request to have people removed from trespassed off of their property, then our cops have to respond and have to uphold the laws of North Carolina and remove people. And mostly just trying to say to the protesters, look, just realize that these cops, when they do this, are they're not trying to enforce some worldview they have. They're trying to
they have to enforce the law.
Feed their families.
Yeah.
So, were you there as a spectator, or were you there also as a participant in this protest?
I was there mostly to be a spectator. I agree with the protesters that the homeowners association had made a bad decision. But I mostly was there to just be kind of witness to what was going on, to help provide some perspective to the police and help the police chief make good decisions in case the situation became a difficult one in some way.
So, Mark,
I disagree. At the same time, I'll say I disagree with the protesters in certain ways too. I mean, I think some of them do not believe in private property rights, and that was actually particularly what concerned me, was people who are saying, well, we don't believe in private property rights, and we're coming in here and we're going to stage a protest. There's a lot of different directions that a situation like that could head. Fortunately, nothing too wild transpired.
That's good. So what I understand is this was a service, a public service that was very highly valued in the community. But the homeowners association and its board of directors have the responsibility to enforce the covenants and restrictions of the association, right? And that's what they were trying to do.
Is
that right?
And that is what they're doing. And I think I think their interpretation is a fair enough sort of reading of what the bylaws actually say.
Okay, so you don't necessarily disagree with what they're trying to do.
Well, here's the thing though, is I feel like there could have been a different way of resolving this problem, and in fact, I think there still could be a different way of resolving this problem. The homeowners association could consider making a modification, a sort of narrowly tailored modification to the rules in the condominium that would allow for certain limited, human services activities that are non-residential.
So they could have considered some kind of variance to allow, because this is, I'm assuming their documents say that you can't operate a business in the community.
Absolutely.
That's typical. So they took the view that this was like a business that was being operated, and you're saying because it's human services and is a service, they could have looked at it differently.
I think they could have. I think they still could. I'm not necessarily optimistic that they will, but I think there's another aspect to this situation that's very unusual, and your listeners might be interested in, which is it so happens that about 2/3 of the units in this condominium are all owned by the same person, which is a really interesting situation, because it means that although there is a homeowners association board that's elected by the various people who own units in the condominium, the reality is that 2/3 of all the votes are cast by one person.
Sure.
Which means that the people on that board are really hand selected by him.
Well, you're now that
That is
I've got to tell you
that is
that is an assumption on your part when you say that you believe that the directors are handpicked by the entity that owns 2/3. I mean, you're making that as an assumption, or do you know for a fact that the only people that are serving that board are people that are handpicked or a member of this entity that owns other units at the property?
Well, let me put it this way: it's not possible mathematically to get on this board, this homeowners association board, without receiving votes from the gentleman who's behind the various holding companies that own 2/3 of the.
Because they have 2/3 of the votes, they vote for the people they want. You're saying,
and I'm not. I want to stop short of suggesting that they're being abusive of the position that they're in. I don't know that there's any clear evidence that that's the case, but it does present some interesting issues for folks who are interested in homeowners associations to contemplate.
Yeah.
And interesting issues are what we are all about here on this show. Mark, can you stay on with us for one more segment?
Sure.
That would be great. We've got to take a break right now. Folks, we're talking to Mayor Mark Chilton, the mayor of Carrboro, North Carolina, and we're talking about people in that city who have been protesting the Abbey Courts Homeowners Association, and we're going to talk to the mayor more about this particular situation, but after these messages.